We've got some pretty big news to talk about today as the New York Rangers have officially extended one of their defensemen in Will Borgen, who was acquired in the Kaapo Kakko trade with the Seattle Kraken, which saw Kakko go over to the Kraken for Will, as well as 2 draft picks that also came over to the Rangers that were a 3rd and a 6th round pick. So, overall, when that trade happened, there were a lot of kind of mixed emotions. A lot of Rangers fans weren't too happy about that trade. I was definitely one of them. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a big fan of that trade. If I had the choice, I wouldn't have made it. But at the end of the day, obviously it's happened. There's no going back now. Chris Drury has made up his mind. He made that trade. He's extended Will now, and we're going to kind of take a look at this contract and really kind of break things down and kind of see what kind of an impact it can truly have on this Rangers team going forward into the future as well as for the rest of this season. Obviously, not necessarily the kind of contract, kind of what it's going to be this season, but obviously kind of what Will can do for the team this season, because he definitely is going to be a key player for this Rangers squad down the stretch here as they try and kind of claw back into that playoff race, which the Rangers have done a pretty good job of. Obviously, this team is not terribly far back of a spot now, really kind of getting close to a wild card spot, which is exactly what you want to see. So let's get right into it here and take a look at the contract that Will Borgen ended up getting from the New York Rangers, and it ended up being a 5-year deal worth $4.1 million per season. And I think overall, when you take a look at this deal, the term is not bad. I definitely don't hate the term for someone of his age. I think, where Will Borgen's at right now in his career, he's probably, about playing. He's kind of probably about his best hockey they're pretty much going to see. I mean, I think with what he kind of is right now as a defenseman is probably what he pretty much is going to be at his peak. And that is a, fine second pairing defenseman. He's 28 years old right now, just turned 28 in late December. He's 6'3", a right-handed defenseman, so that's, a bit of value there. He's got that size, right-handed shot, which is definitely nice. And I do really think that, a guy like Will Borgen is a solid defenseman for sure. I think he is, about a second pairing caliber guy. I don't think he's a, great second pairing caliber player, but I do think he can be a good contributor, for a playoff team or a team trying to compete for the Stanley Cup. Is he the most ideal kind of level of defenseman to be on your second pair when you're trying to really win that Stanley Cup? Maybe not, but I still think he can be a good contributor for this team. And when you consider how much the cap is projected to go up over the next couple of seasons, especially over the next kind of, 2 really here, where the cap could kind of skyrocket up way past the normal kind of limit. If it does end up happening, then this contract will already look, that much better, which is obviously going to go in the Rangers' favor, so that's nice and all. And when you do kind of consider what other, free agents kind of around his skill level, these kind of, decent kind of second pairing, kind of low second pairing caliber defensemen that I think, which, Will Borgen is about that kind of a level. I think those kind of players are very well going to get around this range, if not a bit more, in the upcoming free agency. So maybe the Rangers did get him on a little kind of cheaper if he were to hit, this upcoming free agency like he obviously would have if he did not get this extension. Maybe a team's offering him around that 4.5 mil mark, or at least above that 4.1, or even possibly, longer term. Maybe a team would have given him around that, 4 mil per season, but would have, possibly offered him that maybe 6-7 year deal, right? So we don't exactly know what would have been given to him by other teams in free agency, but I think overall this contract, right away, I don't think it's going to look phenomenal, but in 2-3 seasons, if he is, playing like a second pairing kind of guy, which it's possible, then this contract could look really good. I think he's a solid player. I just am kind of a little worried that the Rangers have, only seen a really small sample size from him. He's played less than 20 games so far this season. He's got a pretty bad takeaway giveaway ratio, and that's not, the end all be all, but it's not really ideal, and I really do just kind of wonder whether or not the Rangers maybe jumped the gun a little bit on this contract, just seeing him in less than 20 games, obviously in less than a quarter of the NHL season, really, but either way, it's happened now. This contract is finalized, it seems like, from the reports, obviously, so it's done, and this is the guy who, will be a part of this team for the foreseeable future at this point. I think he definitely can be a good contributor for this team. The contract very well could end up looking like a bit of a steal. It could also look like a pretty bad one if he ends up kind of reverting back to where he's kind of been in the past of being a, bottom pairing kind of guy. And if he is a bottom pairing caliber defenseman, making 4.1, even with the cap going up a ton, it's not going to look like a great contract. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, this is definitely not my favorite contract, and, this definitely doesn't make me, love the Kakko trade even with this deal, although I do like the Kakko trade a little bit more, especially if we do kind of see him obviously end up working out in a, kind of decent second pairing role. But obviously we have to kind of wait and see what happens there. But I do have a little bit of faith that this will work out in the Rangers' favor, but there obviously is no guarantees, especially with a player who has as little experience with the Rangers as Will does. And we definitely still have a few more things to take a look at here that are pretty important involving this kind of contract as well. So definitely stick around. But let's take a look here at his stats so far this season with the New York Rangers. He does have 17 games played, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points, a plus-minus ratio of 0, 6 penalty minutes. He also does have 29 block shots, 30 hits, 5 takeaways, 19 giveaways, and also does have with the Kraken so far this season 33 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, a -13, had 37 block shots, 48 hits, and had 6 takeaways to 20 giveaways. So overall, definitely not much of an offensive defenseman there so far this season combined. 50 games played, 5 points, -13. Definitely not going to bring a ton offensively, but he is going to bring some physicality there. 78 hits, not too bad in 50 games played. So that's nice there. Can block shots, bring that physical game, bring that size there. Defensive play is definitely where his game is more at than offensive. But overall, he's a fine defenseman, a sound defensive guy, but definitely not phenomenal. Now let's take a look, though, at 2 other posts on X here from Vince Mercogliano after he posted the news about the kind of contract extension. He also posted these 2 things here on X as well, saying, also heard that NYR are viewing Braden Schneider as a long-term option to move to the left side. They now have 4 righties under contract for next season. Will Borgen, Braden Schneider, Adam Fox, and Victor Mancini, but none of the key lefties, Miller, Lindgren, and Vakanainen, and Jones as well. So I think that could be a decent move for the Rangers. That definitely does make sense. I mean, obviously we have, a decent amount of righties kind of locked in right now. I think Victor Mancini is someone who I would like to see kind of get a little more of a look maybe down the stretch here. We'll have to see whether he does or not, but he's definitely still a good young defenseman. Then you've got Will Borgen now is locked up. You've got Schneider, who is someone who can move to the left side there and play on the right. He's got that versatility. We have seen him, even this season playing on the left, where he has looked pretty good. So that is a definite option there. So for next season, maybe to start this season, you have Adam Fox, then Will Borgen on your second pair, and then Victor Mancini on the third pair. That could be a decent kind of 1-2-3 punch on the right side. Not the best in the league, but definitely not too bad at all. And then on the left side there, you have maybe Keandre Miller, who gets possibly re-signed as he is an RFA. Braden Schneider on the left as well. And then you have kind of a possible spot to kind of, find someone to possibly play alongside Adam Fox on the top pair. Or maybe they have Schneider on the top pair and find someone else for a different guy. We'll have to wait and see. And now let's take a look at the other post on X here from Vince Mercogliano, as he ended up saying, larger point is that they've been thoroughly impressed by Borgen since he arrived last month, which has coincided with turning their season around and valued keeping him around regardless of handedness. And that makes sense. I mean, you do have a guy like Braden Schneider who does have that versatility. So if they did really like Borgen that much, it does make sense for, I guess, just to sign him. And that's fine and all. And I'm not against signing Borgen in general. I just think maybe it was a little soon for the Rangers to do this with the fact that, there is still a decent amount of time before the deadline that is in early March. So there is still, a decent chunk of time there that they could have had a bit of a larger sample size to really kind of see, what Borgen can truly be with this team. And would this kind of contract really have changed that much if they had waited another kind of 2, 3, 4 or 5 weeks or so up until that kind of deadline or a little before that to kind of make this contract extension kind of happen? I don't know exactly, but I just kind of would like to see him maybe be on the team a little longer than just kind of, less than 20 games worth of a sample size. But at this point, it is what it is. He's obviously locked up now. He's on this team for the foreseeable future, and will hopefully be a pretty key player for this squad. I mean, obviously the Rangers clearly like him a lot, and I do kind of wonder whether or not that he was actually a kind of decently kind of valued piece in that Kakko trade originally. I mean, at first I kind of originally kind of thought that maybe it was just more of a kind of throw, and I kind of wondered whether or not he must have kind of been a piece the Rangers kind of wanted, because getting a 3rd and 6th round pick for what Kakko even was valued at earlier this season, I think when he was on the Rangers, I think I would have definitely expected more than just a 3rd and a 6th round pick plus a kind of expiring contract in Will Borgen. Obviously, he has started to play better than what he has kind of been in the past for most teams, being a kind of mostly bottom pairing defenseman. But I think he has kind of shown the capability of being a second pairing caliber defenseman. Is he going to be that for the next 5 years? or I guess 6 really, or 6, 5.5, whatever you're going to call it, because the extension does not really kick in until, obviously next season. But either way, I'm okay with this deal. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm a little hesitant on it for sure with the small sample size, but overall, I am hopeful that it will end up being a pretty good contract for this team. It definitely has the upside of being a pretty good one where the Rangers could end up getting a second pairing caliber defenseman for an average per season of $4.1 million, which overall would not be too bad with how much this cap will be going up over the next few seasons. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, definitely hit that like and subscribe button for daily New York Rangers content. And also, definitely don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on this extension that was given to Will Borgen, which is obviously a 5-year deal worth $4.1 million per season. It's a lot of money, that's for sure. It's a decent amount of term as well. A 5-year deal is not a short-term deal, but loving your thoughts as a whole on this deal. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's going to be all right? You're a little worried about it? Let me know your thoughts. I'll catch you next one. Let's go Rangers.